So we'll go ahead and get started. Virginia, you want to go to the next slide? So welcome everyone to the Open Doors webinar. This is our first webinar for a new program that we're launching in preparation for World Cup. This project was made possible through a partnership with the City of Kansas City via its Small Business Task Force. The Small Business Task Force is administrated by the KC BizCare Office, which supports small business efforts in the city. My name is Nia Webster. I'm an Assistant Director for Neighborhoods Department, and I've been working with the team to build out and implement and launch this whole program for you all. We are joined today by Regina Sosa with the Economic Development Corporation. Regina.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining. My name is Regina, and I am the project representative for the EDC of Kansas City.
Before we get started, we want to go through a couple of webinar objectives. Number one, please keep your mic muted. It is going to be hard, especially if you're on a cell phone, for anyone to hear. Again, we will have opportunities for questions at the end of the webinar. So please hold your questions. Don't put them in the chat just yet. There will be a slide you will see for Q&A, and then that's when you can drop your questions in so we can make sure we see everyone. But until then, we encourage folks to make some intros in the chat. Say who you are. Are you a private property owner? Are you a small business looking to collaborate? We want to encourage partnerships and collaborations amongst everyone because there's great opportunities to do that. Today, we'll definitely go through and give you a program overview. We'll share an overview of the program, the eligibility requirements for each application. If you are familiar, there are 2 applications available right now. There's one for private property owners with vacant storefronts. Those are our hosts. And then there's one for small business artists and organizations that are looking to activate a retail pop-up, and you are called our activators. And so we'll go through both of those different applications and make sure you're aware of the different guides and resources that we have on the website. We'll also try to give you a couple of tips on how to prepare your proposal, how to also do your budget, things you can consider or think about. And again, there'll be opportunities for questions at the end if you need some clarity on different things, how to estimate, what the lease might be, so you can kind of be prepared for that, things of that sort. And we'll also have an opportunity to go through how to apply online through our platform called Beam. And that's where you will go to apply for the actual different applications. And that's what we'll do our evaluations and things through that particular platform. And so Regina's going to walk you through how to actually get on the platform, set your application up, and how you can work on it because you can save until you actually submit. So there are a couple of different things she's going to walk you through on that one. All right, we can go to the next slide. So the first thing I wanted to do, again, just gave you a short background about Open Doors and how it came to be a program to address storefront vacancies in preparation for World Cup. We hope that a program like this helps create new incentives or support within the ecosystem that prepares our businesses for the influx of tourism that the city is beginning to see. And then, of course, maybe what the big hope is that we get something that's created around an economic development incentive for small businesses around attraction and retention, kind of similar to how we do with big businesses. So this is a pilot program, meaning we're doing this just for the first time. We are building the plane as we are flying it. So any feedback that you have, if there's anything that's not clear, we would love to get that feedback from you because we want to make sure information is clear. We want to make sure the program is tight and ready to go. And we will hope that we can show this as proof that we should continue a concept like this and support our small businesses. So usually the general question is the timeline around how this program will be implemented. The applications opened on October 14th. For private property owners who are submitting applications for vacant properties that they have, your application closes on November 21st. For those who are doing retail pop-up applications or activators, you have until December 5th to submit your application. The private property selection, we hope to have that done before the end of December. We want to have our short list for our retail applicants no later than January 16th, hopefully sooner. We want to start matchmaking, which is matching up those who have been shortlisted for the retail with the properties that we have available that we have partnerships with. And we want to try to have that finalized by the end of January, and then work through all the leases with the pop-ups to get those finalized. Again, the leases for these pop-ups will be in the name of the selected participant, the small business, the artist, or the organization. And so we will have a team of folks to assist with negotiating and getting through your leases and getting those finalized and making sure you have everything for that. We will also, you'll have a time before build out and tenant finishing. So February, March, April will be your time for build out. So you roughly get a little bit over 6 to 8 weeks, depending on how quickly we can move through the process and get you matched up with someone for your build out. We would like to have those pop-ups open no later than May 3rd, so that we can do a citywide campaign and launch around the different activation pop-ups around the city. We are hoping to get some opportunities to do some advertisements in the airport, which is still kind of up in the air because even as a city office, I'm still required to pay for it. So we're looking at places like the airport, conventions, and just general places where we can market to help show the tourists where you all are once the pop-ups are ready to go and how to support you. And then hopefully the campaign really pushes to shop local in Kansas City overall. The pop-ups themselves will have to be activated May, June, July. We want to catch people as they're coming in, and really to also allow for local tourism to happen and for people to see you first. But then June and July, if you're not aware, the FIFA World Cup is June 11th through July 19th, and I believe the first game is in Mexico City. Second game will be in Kansas City on July 16th. Next slide. So we have some issues with PowerPoint, so please forgive me. Some of these photos are going to be the same. You're not looking at the same slide. It's probably going to be some different information, so forgive us on that one. So first up, we're going to start with the private property owners. So we're really looking for anyone who has a private property that is particularly downtown in any type of commercial or business district, around or along the streetcar line. Those are the properties that we're looking to help activate. The idea is to get the businesses closer to where we know the tourists are going to be. We know that Fan Fest is going to be at Liberty Memorial. They just announced some of the schematics of what that's going to look like. We do know that people are going to be bussed in for Fan Fest. We do know that there's going to be certain areas where people can do park and rides so they can be bussed to the games. So it is clear that there's going to be a lot of foot traffic downtown and along the streetcar line. So we're trying to align that way. So for the private property owners, again, those applications are now open and they close November 21st. We're looking for the private property owner is a pop-up host with a vacant storefront. Selected hosts will be matched with an approved pop-up activator. Again, that's the small business, the artists, the makers. Hosts will receive a lease subsidy stipend for up to 6 months. So we want to allow for build out. So you're probably looking at February, March, April, May, June, July. Depending on where you get started, you might be able to go out as far as August, but we'll do up to 6 months subsidizing the lease. We'll subsidize up to a certain amount, which is 80%, and then the person who's doing the pop-up will have to cover the 20% of that cost. And we'll go through all of that as well. Selected pop-up activators, those who are doing the pop-ups, will receive a working capital grant to support their build-out and operational expenses. And we're also going to provide them with some technical assistance to ensure the success of their pop-up. We highly encourage the conversion of short-term leases into long-term leases. So just because you're in the program and you're participating, I got this question a lot. Is there going to be any penalty if it transition to a long-term lease? No, we actually encourage that. Now, whether or not we'll have funding to help you transition to a long-term lease, that's still kind of up in the air. But if we are able to get some additional funding, the hope is that those folks who are participating will have an opportunity to apply for some funding for a longer-term lease. But just in case we don't, we still encourage that you build relationships with the property owner and hopefully can convert into a long-term lease after World Cup. But it will not be frowned upon at all. We absolutely encourage it. Next slide. So again, we get the question like, what's a vacant storefront? A vacant storefront, we're looking at a commercial space, typically that's on the ground floor, that's not currently occupied. Ideally, we would like them to be street facing and easily accessible. Typically, we're looking for spaces that are under 8,000 square feet. We want to really give preference to those that are under 1,000 square feet, which we consider micro retail for a variety of different reasons. We would like to match up those that are doing the first time having a storefront with some of our micro retail. We know that it will take a lot less build out and be less strenuous on someone. So we are really, really trying to see if we can identify those properties that are 1,000 square feet or less that are micro retail that we can really match some people up with. Again, like I said, we're looking for spaces that are located downtown, near and around the streetcar line, in commercial districts where other businesses already are. Those would be easier to market to. And again, just anywhere downtown in particular. But this has to be Kansas City, Missouri based. We are the city of Kansas City. I cannot fund a space in Grandview or in Lee Summit or KCK. Your property has to be in Kansas City, Missouri. All properties must comply with the permits and things that they need for the space. Go back one for me, Regina. Yeah, all properties must comply with city building codes and permits. We're particularly looking for those that are zone retail. Just a heads up, it is going to be a challenge for those of you who are small business owners that may be food-based. There's going to be a lot of challenges around particularly finding spaces that may already have the build out and have the permits ready to go. Because as you saw on that timeline, we have a very, very short window for build out. So we're leaning more heavily on retail. But again, you can be creative, understanding the permits on how you might be able to do some food as a part of the pop-up. But if we have any private property owners out there that have space that is already built out and permitted for any type of bar, beverage, or a full restaurant or full kitchen, or even partial, we really want to see those as well. But of course, again, hopefully you have all the permits and things of that sort that are ready to go to do that. But just want to make sure we give a heads up to those who are listening in that may have a food-based business. Again, this is more retail heavy. And because of the timeline of it, we may not have spaces that can accommodate like a full kitchen restaurant or a full bar of anything. So think about it really as what is called a pop-up. So you may have to be more creative about the different types of permits and things that you will need in order to operate. But from the private property standpoint, if there's any private property owners that have vacant spaces that are equipped and ready to go, we would love to see those properties as well. Again, we require minimum tenant finishing. We hope to have these spaces move in ready by February. Again, white walled and ready to go. We want to, again, such a tight timeline, retail based. We want to try to just get something very minimum for them to be able to move in, put a couple of things in there and be ready to go by the timeline. Owners must apply. Owners who have multiple spaces, you can apply for multiple spaces, but those would be separate applications for each. And again, all properties must be located in Kansas City, Missouri. Next slide. Just as a heads up, you can download the host application guide on the program website, kcopendoors.com. This guide will, everything that I'm talking about today from the private property standpoint is in the guide. It's just a repeat of that. So it will also go through our program requirements for the private property owners. Private property owners, we're expecting you to cover the utilities and garbage during the short-term lease, which is during the pop-up between the 3 to 6 months. It's going to be too soon for people to kind of convert. So we're asking the private property owners to cover that cost. Owners must maintain the property, ensure it remains in good condition. Pop-up activators, those who will be coming into the space and doing the pop-up, again, they'll be required to provide whatever insurance you require on your lease for that. So they do get the heads up in their guide that they will be required to do that. The leases will be in their name and they will be required to have any type of insurance and things of that sort. And that working capital grant, they can absolutely use towards making sure they get all those things ready to go. Selected private property owners must sign a letter of intent to remove the property from the market until March 2026. So we are going to sign a letter of intent with you and even offer a deposit on the space. We're still working with legal to figure out what the implications of that deposit is going to be, whether it's something you pay back, whether it's something you can use to invest into the space to make sure that the property is move-in ready. We don't have all that finalized yet, but just know that we were looking to sign a letter of intent with you and provide a deposit for the space while we're asking you to hold it. We'll try to match up as many as we can before March, and then after March, if you're not matched up, you're free to do whatever you need with it. But again, whether or not you get to keep the deposit, that's still kind of up in the air. And I should have more details at our next webinar. Selected private property owners. Okay, we went through that one. All pop-ups must be activated by May on through July. And then applications will require interior and exterior photos. Again, we will probably do a site walkthrough, but as much as you can show us what the property looks like, the faster we can go through processing applications. Next slide. So let's talk about what the lease subsidy stipends look like, and then what the review process is going to look like for the application for private property owners. So for private property owners, it's going to be a couple of steps when we're reviewing your application. First, it's going to be an administrative review to ensure that you completed the application fully. And Regina will give you more heads up on what that looks like when she talks about how to apply online. There will be a technical review from our city planning department to ensure that it's properly zoned, you have the proper permits pool. This also gives us a heads up as an internal team when we're looking at matching up with the small businesses that could potentially pop up in the space, that we have a heads up of what might need to be pulled, if anything, what's already pulled as far as permits, and what can actually happen in the space and what the property owner will actually agree to. So as a property owner, you will be involved in the process for matchmaking. We won't just slam somebody on you. We will come to you with the short list and say, you know, what do you think about this one? And does this align with what you would like to see in the space as well? For the lease subsidies, here's what that kind of looks like. So for tier one, which is our micro retail, again, this is the one we want to kind of match up people. This is their first storefront. These are spaces anywhere under 1,000 square feet. We will cover up to 80% of the lease for that 3 to 6 months, not to exceed $10,000. So again, in other programs that we looked at across the country, they were offering them maybe a couple of $1,000s for the space. We understand that we are doing this program during a major tourism event, so we couldn't negotiate the same way. So we are just offering to subsidize the lease up to 80%. Again, we'll offer a deposit for the space, and then the pop-up or the activator, small business or artist, will cover the 20% of the space, and that will be paid directly to you as the private property owner. We, EDC, will pay the lease subsidy directly to the private property owner. Again, for tier two, mid-size, up to 5,000 square feet, up to 20K. And then for tier three, which is our larger spaces, where there might be an organization leading it, might be a collaboration, might be more than one business that want to team up together. That's up to 8,000 square feet, and we'll cover up to $30,000 or no more than 80% of the lease on that. Next slide. So now we're going to talk about small business artists and organizations and your application. Again, just a reminder to everyone, we will have time for Q&A at the end. Please hold your questions until we get to that point so we don't miss your question at the end. We expected to have over 100 people on this call, so we want to make sure we get to everyone and answer all the questions that we can. So now we're switching gears to the second application, which is the application for small business artists and organizations to pitch a retail-based concept. The benefits of the program will include a temporarily subsidized lease space for 3 to 6 months, as you heard when we talked about with the private property owners. We'll provide grant funding up to 10K. If you have a shared space or organization that is hosting a number of different businesses, we'll offer up to $1,500 for each participant, but up to a certain amount for you to help out with your build out of the space. We'll also give access to technical assistance. Again, that would include lease negotiations. So we're partnering with UMKC Legal Clinic to assist with the lease negotiations and helping to get your lease set up and in place. And then they'll also be here to offer any other type of legal support that you might need throughout the duration of your pop-up. And then we're working on other partners to help out with build out, marketing, financial, access to capital, and other resources that will help in the success of your pop-up during the World Cup. Again, this is a one-time grant opportunity. As of right now, it will not extend beyond this, but if we're able to raise more funding, or depending on how everything works out and we have additional funding left over, we would love to create an opportunity for these participants to have some additional opportunity to get more funding to stay in the space a little bit longer and convert into a long-term lease. But what that looks like right now, or if the opportunity is available, is not clear yet. But we would definitely let you know when that does happen. So as of right now, just think about this as an opportunity to pitch an idea, a concept that you would like to do as a pop-up during World Cup. Next slide. So let's talk about eligibility requirements for small businesses. For small businesses, you can be local or national. Again, this is about attraction and retention. As you all know, small businesses are one of the biggest creators of jobs in our city. So we want to find ways to create more opportunities for small businesses to be here or to move here and to create jobs for our residents. So we're looking for local and national small businesses that can apply. Priority, of course, will be given to Kansas City businesses or Kansas City metropolitan area businesses, because we definitely want to lift up those, our hometown heroes and our homegrown small businesses here. Businesses with existing storefronts are eligible and encouraged to apply. What does that actually mean? Let's say I'm a business and I'm on the KCK side and I have a storefront, but I want to be closer in market. I want to pitch a pop-up concept that I can actually be in and be closer in market while still maintaining my space over here on the KCK side. This is not a way for you to apply for your existing space that you're in. This is an opportunity to apply for a pop-up concept for your existing business. So if that's not clear, I'll be sure to try to clear that up in the end as well. The business must have been established before January 1st, 2023. So again, you got to be at least 2 years old. You have to be revenue generating a minimum of $50,000. Applicants will be asked to submit tax returns and our profit and loss statements. The business must possess all necessary registration, licenses, and permits as you currently exist. We understand that if you get selected for a pop-up, there may be additional permits and things that you need, and we will do our best as a city to pull in any of those department partners to help with you understanding the process and hopefully even helping to expedite the process of your permits. Can't guarantee it. We got a lot going on at the city, but the hope is that, and we have been engaging different departments like our regulated industries, health, city planning, to be a part of the process to help us through and help expedite these things. So we saw that in a lot of programs across the country that permits was the biggest hangup. Now, being the city, we are making sure that those things are in play here for this pilot program. Local businesses must have a current KCMO business license. So your 2025 business license should be valid during the course of the application being open. If you are a Kansas City, Missouri-based business, please understand that your business license renews every year at the beginning of January. You have a grace period to the end of February to renew. Businesses outside of Kansas City, Missouri, you'll just submit your certificate of good standing from the state that you are currently operating from. But if you are selected, you would be required to get all the necessary licenses and permits to operate in Kansas City. That could include Missouri sales tax, state registration, and then local licenses and permits through the city. We have resources that through the KC BizCare office to help assist you with that as well. Next slide. For our artists, creatives, and makers, applicants must be individual artists, creatives, makers, producing original art and creative products for retail. Applicants must be Kansas City, Missouri. They can be in the Kansas City, Missouri metropolitan area. So when it comes to artists, we're only looking for local artists that we want to uplift through this program and demonstrate a strong connection with the local creative community. The business or creative practice must have been established on or before January 1st, 2024. We're giving you a little less time with this one to be established. Applicants must demonstrate a consistent record of creative production or sales, such as participation in art fairs, markets, exhibitions, residencies, online sales. Show that you have something to sell and that you've been good at selling it, and this is going to actually work for you. Applicants must possess or be willing to obtain all necessary business registration, permits, and insurance required. A lot of times we run into artists that don't know that they're entrepreneurs. Artists are entrepreneurs, and you are still required, just like everybody else, to have a business license. If you are selling tangible items like your art, you are required to have a Missouri sales tax, things of that sort. But again, our team could assist you and give you a heads up. But if you are looking for resources, you can always go to the KC BizCare website, bizcare.kcmo.gov, and they have checklists and resources to assist you to understand what those permits could look like. We do encourage collaboration with artists and groups. Thanks, Regina, for putting that in the chat. We do encourage collaboration of artists to be eligible, whether it's under a shared concept or if you just want a smaller space. And we do encourage you to produce and sell in the space. So it's not just a store. You can actually set it up to where you are making the different products and things and selling it at the same time. And we really encourage that type of setup as far as your retail pop-ups as well. And it could also include classes and demonstrations and things. So be real creative with your proposals. Next slide. We wanted to also create an opportunity for organizations. We realize in our ecosystem, when it comes to supporting small businesses, we can see a gap in opportunities for scale up. There are not very many organizations outside of one that we know, like Porterhouse KC, that does like the 811 retail spot that really support retail for businesses. So we want to encourage more of that in the ecosystem. So we're asking organizations, ESOs, chambers, arts organizations, to collaborate and create a shared space with your members or whoever you have a part of your collaboration. We want to create opportunities for those who may not otherwise be eligible, who may not do this as a full time, but want to still participate in World Cup. So we're hoping that you can pitch concepts that give opportunities to those who would not otherwise have an opportunity to do so. This also helps allow with an extension of our team. Somebody can have eyes over a shared space and things of that sort. So for organizations, again, your eligibility also looks different. To be a part of the program, your organization must be registered with the state and in good standing. The organization must have been established before January 1st, 2023. Proposed concept must include multiple participants or partners. Highly encourage you to go, if you have somebody that's sponsoring you as an organization, see if they would like to collaborate, because a lot of these companies or banks or whoever are looking for an opportunity for branding and having their name out there. So I would highly encourage you to think about who's supporting your organizations now and would they be willing to support or collaborate with you to have their name somewhere visible as a part of the pop-up and to help support financially with that build out or whatever else you might need financially to get this going. So highly encourage that. So again, in the chat, call yourselves out if you're looking for people to partner with. Call yourselves out if you're an organization looking for folks as well. But highly encourage you to go and talk to these bigger companies, because again, this is a major tourism event. They may want to look at getting their name out there and some branding, and you actually create a much cheaper opportunity for them to do that versus trying to go higher up to like a FIFA or the city or anywhere else for sponsorship opportunities. Again, the organization must demonstrate capacity to manage share space, including coordination of vendors, scheduling, and financial oversight. We highly recommend those organizations that are like ESOs or BSOs, entrepreneur support organizations, business support organizations. If you're providing technical assistance, please continue to provide that as a part of your concept. Because again, you're working with businesses that are probably at that early stage. We're kind of making sure we customize our technical assistance around those who are going to advance. They'll still get to take advantage of any technical assistance opportunities that we have as a part of it. But we highly encourage you to continue and uplift the services you are already providing with the members or the participants in your shared concept. Next slide. So let's talk about a couple of tips for preparing your proposal. Again, there's going to be a couple of questions in there. It may ask you, what are you going to call your proposal? Tell us more about the concept. So we asked you to tell a clear story, explain the inspiration behind your concept, how it connects with Kansas City culture or the World Cup experience. Just know that KC 2026 is the local host committee. They will be the ones to share out the rules of what you can say. You know, do you say World Cup KC 2026? Do you say 2026 World Cup? There are certain things you can and can't say. There may be things that you can and can't use, like the logo. They will have the rules for that. And as soon as we get that information, we'll absolutely share that with you. But otherwise, think of some creative ways that you can take advantage of soccer or really uplift the culture of Kansas City itself to the tourists who are coming in. So again, talk about the culture and connection. Define your goals. Identify what success looks like for you. Sales targets, community engagement, brand exposure. Showcase your uniqueness. Highlight what makes the concept stand out from others. You'll have opportunity to include any visual or mock-ups that you would like to show us as a part of it. You'll have an opportunity to upload some things at the end. We're also looking for you to demonstrate your readiness, provide evidence of operational capacity, such as prior retail experience, partnerships, or maybe you've done a pop-up before. Talk about that in your proposal as well. Plans for the activation, outline how the space will be used daily. Again, we understand that you all are kind of guessing and you don't know where, but try to be as detailed as possible to say, or give us a range. Maybe you're looking for something between 500 square feet to maybe 1,000 to 2,000 square feet. Help us to understand how we can best match you up with what you're actually looking for, have the capability of doing. So including your plan of activation, whether you'll be getting more staff or using existing staff, your hours of operation. Again, we require you to operate at least 4 days a week and on FanFest days. Also, the customer engagement strategies you might have, something we can probably help engage into our citywide campaign, but we will want to understand how we can collaborate with you to promote and market your particular pop-up. Include community impact. Describe how the pop-up will contribute to the local economy and support other small businesses or celebrate local culture. Next slide. And if you are joining, please be sure to mute so we all don't hear you and everybody can hear us clearly if you're not muted. And it may be a little bit harder if you're on a cell phone. All right, let's talk about budget and realistically what that looks like. So for you all, small businesses, artists, and organizations, there is a working capital stipend that you will be provided. And of course, it's based on the square footage of what your build out is going to be. So for anything under 1,000 square feet, there'll be $5,000. For anything up to 5,000 square feet, 10,000. And then again, for your 8,000 or more square feet or your shared space, will provide a base of $10,000, and then we'll give $1,500 to each participant. And I think we're going to set the max at about 5 or so is what we're kind of budgeting for. And I know the question is going to be, well, how many pop-ups do you think? There are a lot of variables that go into that and how we negotiate and things of that sort. On the very, very high end, if we max out on each one, let's say we do 5 here, maybe a couple over here, we're looking at about 10 to 12, but that can go as high as to maybe 20 or so. But that's going to depend on what spaces are available, what we're able to negotiate with the property owners to, stretch it out as much as we can and things of that sort. So again, it's still a lot of variables and how many might be there, but let's just say anywhere from 10 to 20 spaces could be available for pop-up opportunities. So when you're thinking about your budget, again, this is what the amount that will contribute. In your proposal, you're going to have to demonstrate to us how this is just contributing to your overall budget of how you're going to do this build out. And again, think long and hard, figure out a build out that you can do in 6 to 8 weeks. Don't think about one that's going to take an extensive amount of time. And remember, this is just for a short-term lease for a pop-up. There will be opportunities to be long-term, and you could look at potential of doing your full build out after that fact. But think about on a smaller scale what you can do in that short time frame, because we are running real short to get that pop-up ready to go. So things that you could be thinking about as a part of your budget, the space build out and design. Hopefully on our next call, we'll have some support from IKEA. IKEA is willing to give out discounts on furniture, and they're going to set up a business portal. So we'll have more information at our next call, and we'll be sure to put that information on the website once we have that ready to go. And we're looking for other partners like that that can support any type of discounts or things to support your build out to help your money go further. Think about inventory and supplies. The data that we're seeing from KC 2026 is they expect about 650,000 people to come into the Kansas City market. I imagine that might be more local, regional tourism. Kansas City is the most central city that will be hosting a World Cup. All the rest of them are pretty much along the coastlines. So I imagine that we'll probably have people driving up that can probably take on bigger bulks of items that you're selling versus smaller items that people might be able to fly with. So think about your products in that sense as well, but think about how much inventory supplies that you need to sell during that time. Marketing and promotions, think about how you want to market and promotion from your end, but just know we'll be supporting a citywide marketing campaign on our end. Permits, licenses, and insurance, you can absolutely use the funding to cover those costs that will be required of you. Staffing and operations could be included in that. And then make sure you set aside a contingency of 10 to 15% just in case for unexpected costs that may come up. Because again, we don't know what's going to happen in the next few months as far as cost of supplies or anything that you might have. Identify funding sources. Note how much you will come from Open Doors Grant, your personal investment, or any other funding. Again, I highly encourage you all to go collaborate or seek partnerships with any companies or bigger partners you might have that are looking for some brand or name recognition. Be transparent. Provide clear justifications for each of your expenses. Reviewers value realistic and well-documented budgets. Align with goals. Ensure that your budget supports the overall concept and demonstrates financial responsibility. Again, just a couple of tips we want to give you about the budget. One question that I did get that we were getting in our emails is about how much typically a space costs. So in the beginning, we did like an interest form, and we asked that question to private property owners, like how much per square foot is your space? We could say, depending on a lot of different variables, again, if it's new, if it's existing, where it's located, we're seeing prices range anywhere between $15 and $30 per square foot. And again, that could be a new construction, that could be something that's existing, that could be something that's near the streetcar line versus further away from the streetcar line. So maybe think about it in that sense. I think on average, we kind of did some cost budget estimates around $22 a square foot as we were kind of figuring out, on our end, what that looks like. So just know that question might come up. Maybe on average, look at $22 a square foot, but a range that we've been getting from private property owners is anywhere from $15 to $30 a square foot. The hope is that they'll negotiate with us to help this money go further because we have a very tight and limited budget for this program. Next slide. Again, I wanted to repeat the timeline so that everyone is clear. Now that we've gone through everything, we talked about where we are with the private properties, where we need to be once we select folks and get the build outs going. Applications are open. We do have quite a few applications in review or in progress, not too many that have been fully submitted yet. So it's still opportunity for everyone. Private property applications will close on the 21st. Retail of November, retail applications will close on December 5th. Private property selection, again, we hope to have that done before the end of December. We hope to have the applicants shortlisted by mid-January, and then we hope to have all the matchmaking done hopefully by the end of January, not to exceed mid-February, and as well as getting all the leases ready to go. We hope to give you at least 8 weeks or more for build out of the space. So again, think about what you can get done in that time frame and what all you can do. Again, we highly encourage collaborations, and that could be a collaboration between businesses, a business and an artist, a retail business, and maybe you allow the food business to pop up in your space where they can do beverages or coffee or whatever. Be very creative with your proposals. And again, we highly encourage collaboration. So if you're national, you're coming from another city and you want to partner with someone local, great. If you're a local organization and you want to start pulling in businesses that are not just in the market, but maybe in another market that's interested, great. We highly encourage those different opportunities. So again, tenant finish, pop-ups open May 3rd. We'll do a big campaign May 3rd through the 9th, which is National Small Business Week, ironically. And to help promote all the different pop-ups. And again, we hope to try to secure spaces like airport, conventions, or anywhere we can to help promote. Maybe it's the kiosks that Public Works will be overseeing. But as we get closer, we'll have a clear plan of what that looks like. And then just also note, the pop-ups have to be activated May, June, July. We understand this is a pilot. There's going to be a lot of unforeseen things. At minimum, we would just love to have the pop-ups ready before the first game. So we'll try to work as diligently as we can to make sure everybody has what their needs, making sure your permits are ready to go, and everybody has their pop-ups ready for World Cup. All right, that's the end of my spiel. Regina?
Thank you, Nia. Okay, so now we're going to dive into our application platform, which is called Beam. Both of our applications, so the retail application and the application for private property owners, live on this platform. So I want to talk you through the steps on creating your account. Visit our website, kcopendoors.com, where you will find the link to both applications. Once you click on the link, it will take you to this applicant sign-in, which is tricky. Even if you are new to Beam, go ahead and enter your email address in this box. Once you do so, Beam will send you an email that looks like this. Once you click on the sign in button, it will take you inside the application portal where you are able to start a new application. So this is the retail pop-up application. If you click on the private property application link, that will be detailed here. Please make sure you are completing the correct application for your purpose. Once you go ahead and start a new application, you will dive into the application. Now, for the retail applicants, the first question that you will see is this. And so this is where you will select whether you are a small business, an artist, or an organization. Based on your choice here, that determines the applications that pop up after. So we are using logic-based conditioning to make sure that we are asking you the appropriate questions based on your business. Now, I saw a couple of questions in the chat already. So if you already submitted your application, now you're listening to this webinar and gain some great insights that you want to make changes to your application, please email us at info@kcopendoors.com. Let us know that you would like to make edits to your already submitted application, and we can go ahead and mark your application as incomplete so that you can log back into the portal and make those changes. There is no need to submit a duplicate application for the same business. That makes it difficult on our team as well as for you. So just go ahead and email us if you want to do any edits to the application. So pretty short and sweet from me. I'll pass it back over to you, Nia.
All right. Let me see. What's the next slide? Is that Q&A?
So yeah, we're right at Q&A.
And we've added more time to this webinar again to ask questions. So if you have questions, go ahead and take a moment and add your questions into the chat.
And there was already a couple of questions in the chat. So again, as people are inserting your questions in the chat, we have a couple from earlier. The first one, Nia, is, will there be space such as private parking lots where we are able to park food trucks?
We are unsure at this time because, again, we're simultaneously taking applications in for private properties. Please note those things in your application. If you have a truck or a trailer that you want to pull up outside or have parked outside and that you will need that type of parking, that way we can try to match you up with someone who does have that space to accommodate. But as of right now, because we don't have all the properties in place right now, we can't say. For those private property owners that are completing applications, we will be reviewing those on a rolling basis so that we can have a better idea before the applications close, and hopefully can have those properties selected and then know what properties we have available before we shortlist anyone, because your applications for the pop-ups don't close till December 5th.
Okay, thank you. Our next question is, for tier 1 of the stipends, which is up to 10,000, is that total for 6 months or 10,000 per month?
Total for 6 months. That is a one-time total to go towards your build out and whatever else you need. So again, that should go, the amount that we're giving you for working capital should contribute to your overall budget of what you need for build out and having the space for those 3 to 6 months. Again, we're already going to be subsidizing the lease for the space up to 80% on our end. You would just be responsible for the 20%, whatever that looks like each month for while you're in the space.
Okay, I have a question about if this informational slide deck will be shared as to allow people to review it. This webinar is currently being recorded. The recording will be made available on our website so that you can review it later on. Next question. Will KCMO be checking to see if property owners are raising their cost per square foot just for the World Cup next year?
That's going to be a tricky one, but good thing we put out an interest form. So hopefully you won't tell us one thing here and tell us another. Again, in the application, we are encouraging or asking property owners that will be willing to negotiate. Again, this is for the purpose of World Cup. We're looking for people who want to partner with us to help small businesses be in position. So hopefully we don't get folks that price gouge, but our team has a pretty good idea what the market rate is for downtown now.
Awesome. So we have Anna with Viet5 Coffee, and she is asking how many total storefronts is your team looking to fill in preparation for the World Cup?
Again, that is going to be based on a lot of different variables, the square footage of the space, the cost per square footage that they're willing to either negotiate or not negotiate with us. So when we did a real tight budget crunch, we looked at on average what $22 per square foot would look like for each category. We can probably host about 10 to 12 on the high end, but maybe as up to 20 different pop-ups. But again, that's going to be based on what we're able to negotiate on the front end per property.
Awesome. So as a commercial real estate agent that's on the call, how can they help property owners market their properties to potential applicants?
What they can do is encourage those property owners with vacant storefronts to apply for the program. However, if you are a private property owner and you have a small business that you're talking to, or vice versa, you're a small business owner or artist and you're interested in the space and you are already talking to someone, we encourage you both to apply, and you will have an opportunity to mention that in your application. Hey, we've already talked to so-and-so, we're interested in this space, and they have applied. That makes it easier for us to match up, because the biggest thing around this is helping you build relationships with private property owners that you may not otherwise be able to do. So again, it won't be any direct way through the program, but if you are already talking to someone, please encourage the private property owner to apply. And then as a small business, please apply, and there will be opportunities in the application for you to mention that you are already talking to someone.
Nia, can you clarify what the revenue requirement is for Kansas City, Missouri artists?
There is no revenue requirement, just the ability to demonstrate that you have some type of sales of a product or have participated in some type of residency pop-up before. Just have to have a proven track record that you have some products. So we're being more lenient on the artists because we understand you guys operate very differently. There's only a revenue requirement on the small businesses.
Okay. We have an artist that is creating a new entity, which would be an LLC, with an artist collaboration. However, they do have separate track records of sales and exhibitions.
And so maybe the question is, how or which way do they apply? So I would lead with whichever entity has the strongest or meets the eligibility requirements. Again, artist eligibility is a little bit different. It's more about demonstrating your ability and as far as what products you have to sell and things of that sort. Again, we do encourage collaboration. So whoever has the strongest position, I would put them forth as the lead, because that's what the application will be evaluated on.
Okay, so if someone is a recipient of the program, will there be a point person from the city that we can call directly for assistance?
Yes, we will have a team of folks. Prior to us even launching the program, we were already convening folks within the city, regulated, short-term rentals, health department, city planning, even public works, all those we know that may come in contact or may be involved or you may have to step to for a permit. We're engaging all those folks, and we're trying to get them as engaged as even being a part of the selection process, so they also have a heads up and they're engaged as a part of it. So yes, there will be city folks. If you have general questions about what permits to get, you can always reach out to the BizCare office. That is the whole purpose of the office, is to help you understand the city's regulatory processes. And they have created new tools like checklists and even a playbook for small businesses to understand what they need. So whether that's a temporary liquor, temporary food permit, whether that's just a business license, those common things that we know we're going to see an uptick in permits, there is some type of information or a short list, a checklist for you to review and get some feedback on, or to get some assistance with understanding the process.
Okay. So we have someone that already has a retail space and they're only interested in getting exposure to those attending the World Cup. Are there other opportunities as a small business to be included in this program?
We hope that through the campaign, we are not only just promoting the pop-ups themselves, but helping to support the say shop local. Unfortunately, we just don't have the capacity to create a directory of all businesses in Kansas City. So I highly recommend you collaborate with any of the organizations that are putting together their own guide. Like I know Gift KC has guides that they're putting together. KC Black Owned has a guide that is putting together. I don't know who else is out there, but I would encourage you to get with those folks to maybe collaborate to see if you could be listed in their guides. But otherwise, we'll be doing a more general campaign around shopping local. But unfortunately, we don't have the capacity to list every single person. But if there are more opportunities that come up later on, we will definitely share those resources with you. Maybe there might be an opportunity to advertise through the city's kiosk. I don't know what other opportunities may come about, but once we get that information, we'll definitely share it out with the small businesses here.
Awesome. Now we have a couple of clarifying questions. So could you please talk about the utilities for businesses that would be interested in entering these storefronts?
So in the first half of the webinar, we talked about the application for private property owners. One of the requirements that the private property owner will have to do is cover garbage and utilities during the term of the pop-up, because again, it's short. Getting utilities turned over is going to be a little bit hard to do. So that is something that will be on the private property owner to cover and maintain during that pop-up.
Okay. Another
But just
clarifying
in case,
question.
I would say keep it as a contingency and budget for it, because right now what you don't know is how much that might be. So it is a requirement of the private property owners to cover those costs. But from a budget standpoint, I would just still budget for it just in case.
Perfect. Another clarifying question. What are the location of the properties and where do they expect the most traffic?
So we are potentially looking for properties that are in the downtown area, around or along the streetcar. As you all know, when you're a tourist somewhere, you're going to walk and you're going to walk different places. You'll probably look up and be in Midtown before you know it. So we're looking for where we know the transportation lines are going to be, especially free transportation. We know that because of Fan Fest, people will be downtown. When on those Fan Fest days, they're going to be busing people into downtown. So we expect to see traffic in and around downtown mostly. But if we get a lot of regional tourism, people coming from, around 2 to 3 hours away, they'll more than likely have transportation and driving and can probably be in other places. We are open to looking at all properties. We will prioritize those that are downtown. Again, we don't know what's available, who's willing to negotiate. So we want to create as many opportunities as we can, but we don't want to put you somewhere where we don't know if the traffic is going to be there. Because what we don't want to see is a repeat of NFL draft where people kept saying, well, people walk past us. We want them to be able to find you. So ideally, we want to put you where they are. And that's what we're prioritizing for the program.
Will there be a directory of all the businesses that are selected for the program and of the different storefronts for visitors to see?
Yes. 2 programs you could look at that we're modeling this after: Seattle Restored and Vacant to Vibrant in San Francisco. If you go look at their websites, we intend to do similar things where we're profiling, showing where they are, and maybe even having a map of all the various pop-ups. Hopefully we'll have some media partners to help uplift that and do profiles on all the participants that will be activating for the pop-up, but that will all be a part of the marketing we will be doing for them as well.
Awesome. Okay, I'll take this next question. So Nia, feel free to take a sip of water. You have been doing amazing. So did I hear that the program is across the metro area, including Kansas City, Kansas? So businesses across the metro area are encouraged to apply for this program. However, the storefronts themselves, the vacant buildings that we will be filling, must be located in Kansas City, Missouri. We are the city of Kansas City, Missouri, so thus we want these businesses to come in here. But if you're a business in KCK who wants to be closer to the action, we encourage you to apply for a storefront. Okay, is there a revenue requirement for organizations like a nonprofit in order to apply?
No, there are no revenue requirements for organizations, but again, it's your pitch concept. You're going to have to show proof that you have some type of operating budget of some sort with the organization. But again, no minimum requirement on what that operating budget looks like.
And is there a limit to the number of collaborators or partners that a nonprofit can include in their proposal?
We would like to see maybe up to 5, no less than 2 when it comes to some type of collaboration, depending on what space they need or who they are. But we can budget up to maybe 5 in a space. But if you have more, say that. And if we need to have you modify anything, we will definitely talk through it with you.
Okay, I think we've covered most questions. If there's anything we missed, please resend it in the chat and we will get to it. Another question that I'm seeing is, can a business pay to be in a directory for the World Cup, or how can we advertise our business?
Again, to answer the question, we don't have a directory for this. If there are opportunities for you to advertise that might be coming to the city, we will definitely let you know. But as of right now, we will mostly be promoting these pop-ups. We're kind of limited in funding. We just don't have the capacity to create a big directory, have somebody manage that and manage this program at the same time. It takes a lot of lift to do that. But I highly encourage you to find those that are creating directories, those organizations that are supporting small businesses that are creating directories. I encourage organizations that are on the call, create a directory of your members as well. It's easier for us to maybe tag your directory versus creating a directory on your behalf. So if you are an organization out there, please think about directories that you can create for the members or the people that you work with. That will be super helpful for them because, again, we just don't have the capacity to do it. But we can figure out ways how we can collaborate with you and maybe list that directory somewhere where we can make sure people can access or know that you exist.
Awesome. Again, we're running low on questions. If there's anything left unanswered, feel free to put them in the chat. You can also contact our team after this at info@kcopendoors.com. Okay, so Nia, why is 50,000 the minimum revenue for small businesses? As a micro small business, that may be a little high.
Well, one thing we had to do is make sure that you're creating revenue. So we kind of based it off of this. For cottage food law in the state of Missouri, if you make over $50,000, that's kind of that cap where you are growing beyond what you can actually have capacity for in your space. So we kind of based it off of that. That tells us that you're not just doing this as a side hustle. This is a full-time thing for you. Again, we know it's going to be different for every business, but we had to set a cap somewhere for the businesses because what we can't do is take the risk of giving up funding and you're not able to get the pop-up going. That looks bad on us. So we set a bar to make sure that we're getting people who can actually compete. If you are below that, I highly encourage you to go collaborate with someone who may meet that threshold, that the minimum threshold for the application, or collaborate with an organization that's looking to support those who may not meet the eligibility requirements. Unfortunately, we had to set a bar somewhere.
Awesome. Okay, I think we covered most of it. Just as a reminder, two really good resources for you all is our website, kcopendoors.com. The application links can be found there. FAQ section is listed on there, and then the application guides for both retail and private property owners can be found there, as well as the email info@kcopendoors.com. Our team actively monitors that inbox as throughout the day. Okay, one other question. Are there requirements for how many hours you are operating a week?
I don't think we put a requirement in there for the hours of the day, but definitely at least 4 days a week and Fan Fest days would be required. But again, you tell me you're only going to operate 2 hours out of a day, it's a high chance your application won't rise to the top. But if you can show and be creative to say, hey, here's how we're going to meet that 4-day minimum requirement. Maybe we'll have different hours on certain days because these games are going to be at different times of things. So we are allowing you an opportunity to say you might operate at different times on different days, but we kept the minimum requirement of how many days you have to operate per week. So be creative with that. Because again, you might stay open later on the first Fridays than you would on a Monday. So think about those different things. There are a lot of different events that are going to be happening during that time. Juneteenth. There's a game on July 3rd, which is a first Friday, the day before. Oh my God, the day before 4th of July. So think about all those different things that could be happening that you can do your hours around. So we are looking for, again, creativity in when you're going to operate as far as the hours go, but the only requirement would be 4 days a week and on FanFest days. Now, they haven't given us a schedule yet for FanFest. I know there are at least going to be FanFest days or during the 6 games, because that's a place where people can go watch the game if they want to. They can't get into the stadium, so, and that's going to be free as well. But they believe they're going to be operating maybe up to 18 different days for FanFest. So anywhere from a minimum of 6 to 18 days during that June 11th through July 19th period. And if you want more information about what the World Cup will look like in Kansas City, KC 2026 is the host committee. You can go to their website. I believe it's Kansas City 2026, the word Kansas City, and then the number 2026.com. And they actually have data and information right now to show you the number of people that might be coming, the languages that will be spoken. So they believe that more than 60% or so will be speaking English, but if there's a second language that is spoken, it will primarily be Spanish and Portuguese. But again, that could be up in the air. So think about all those different things of who you're going to be catering to. They won't know what teams will be playing here until December. So again, you might come back and craft your proposal a different way. So maybe you might not want to commit to a specific culture yet because you might want to cater to the teams that might come. So keep it a little bit general in your proposal, but knowing that by the time we find out what teams are coming, applications may already be closed. So be a little bit general on that, but just a heads up for folks who are looking to specifically cater to certain cultures that might come in because of the teams.
So we have an interesting question in the chat that I would just like us to address. Someone is asking if international visitors use Venmo for payment. I would like to avoid cash. We've been in multiple presentations with KC 2026. Cash will primarily be the main form of payment that tourists will be used. But again, as Nia mentioned, that determines based on the countries that these tourists will come from. So I would say expect most of them to be paying cash. But again, we will just know more information once we know what countries will be playing here.
And there may be a lot of people who may use digital forms of transactions like their credit cards and things to expedite it. But again, it really depends on who's coming to say what that is. So just be prepared for multiple ways of transactions, multiple languages that may be spoken. Again, you might want to translate some of your materials in basic Spanish. You might want to have certain posters up to help people with translation. You always have the Google Translate on your phone. And things of that sort. So think about all of that. Also, you might have countries that don't tip. That's going to be a big thing. In certain countries that you visit, tipping is not a thing, but for us as US, tipping is a thing. So you might have to educate people on different things. So think about that when you're thinking about your concept, that you are going to be taking in folks from around the world. But I personally think that we might get more regional tourism more than anything. But that's just my best guesstimate based on the location of where we are.
Okay, just another quick clarifying question, Nia. Can you talk about the matchmaking process? We have someone asking when properties will be available and if there will be a list posted of available spaces.
So there won't be a list posted of available spaces because we will have to match up the spaces with the selected applicants. So can you go back to the slide with the timeline on it, a few slides back?
Yeah, let me try.
So again, you all's applications are closing at different times to allow us to review and shortlist the properties first, and then review and shortlist who the potential pop-up applicants that we're going to match up. We will work with the private property owner. Again, in the private property application, we ask them about the space, what they would like to see, what could the space actually accommodate. And then we'll look at the applications and say, okay, who's looking for what, who passed this particular deal. So for small businesses, artists, and organizations, your review process is going to be an administrative review to make sure you completed the application fully. Then there'll be a financial review because you're being asked to submit tax returns. We need to make sure that you are financially stable and you're a revenue generator, things like that. But of course, that's going to look different for artists and organization. And then there'll be a review by the selection committee on your pitch and your budget, things of that sort, to help determine what's going to be a good pop-up concept that we could potentially match up with a private property owner. So don't think about this as we're going to create a list and then we're going to post it. No, we're going to create a list of partners, have them on the side and shortlisted, and then we're going to create a short list of the pop-ups and then try to match up as many as we can. Hopefully that answers your question for clarity. But I don't know if you missed this part, for the sake of the timeline, it gives you an idea of when we like to have all these things done and what a build out timeline looks like as well.
Awesome. Nia, can you talk to us about security and if there will be any security around these storefronts that we will be activating?
As of right now, no. Depending on what the budget allows, we may, but your budget, your working capital budget could go towards any security. If there's any private property owners that already have security on their spaces, please let us know in your application. But also note that we're trying to get you into areas where we know security might already be set up. So KC 2026 is in charge of what the security plan looks like for downtown, really in and around the Fan Fest, in and around where the games are going to be. So there's going to be some level of security we'll be coordinating with as well as with our KCPD and our fire department. So that will be the minimum basis of it. But if you're asking specifically, like, are we going to have additional dollars like we did for Back to Business to help put up security? As of right now, no, but you can utilize the dollars that we're giving you towards security for the space.
Awesome.
So application deadlines are up. I see a question around that. If you're not selected, that it won't be an opportunity for you to participate in this program. I just highly encourage you to look for other opportunities that might be happening around the city. So just a general rule of thumb for everybody. I know people like to compare this to the NFL draft. You comparing apples to oranges. It is not the same. NFL draft was 3 days. The World Cup is almost 40 consecutive days. This has given me an idea to make sure that I present whatever data we do have on the World Cup and coming to Kansas City, because I'm realizing not a lot of people might be aware of what the impact is going to be. But this is almost 40 consecutive days of constant games, fan fest, or activities, people moving around. Again, the teams won't be picked till December. We may have up to 3 base camps here, meaning that there may be teams based here where they'll be practicing and flying back and forth from for different games. So think about all those different things as well. I'm sorry, I got sidetracked on what the question was.
Opportunities for businesses who are not selected.
Yes. So as far as we know, since there's going to be 40 consecutive days, think about it that people are going to be hosting things all over the place. KC 2026 recently did an event with various communities, Lee Summit, Platte County. All of these places are actually planning various activities, watch parties, and things like that for World Cup. There are opportunities for you as small business to collaborate and be a part of those initiatives as well. Now, there is no calendar that we have to say, here's who's doing what. But I would highly encourage you to sign up on KC 2026 website and utilize their business interest form. They're sharing that database with other partners that are doing different things around World Cup, like I just talked about, to say, here's some businesses that are interested in partnering up. So there may be some other opportunities there. The storefront vacancy program is just one opportunity, but just understand people are going to be hosting different activities and events outdoors, because a lot of folks are going to be outdoors during the World Cup. I would almost say, imagine it like the Super Bowl parade every day is what it could look like in Kansas City. So think about the fact that there are going to be so many other people hosting different things, block parties, events, watch parties, that they get the licensing to do so, that you can be a part of. So I would highly recommend, for those of you that are caterers, who have liquor licenses to do pop-ups, alcohol is going to be a really big thing. In fact, there has been state law passed that during those specific days of World Cup, June 11th through July 19th, I'm looking at the poster behind me, there is allowed to sell alcohol by the cup 23 hours out of the day. You still have to get your licenses and permits for that. Let me just also put that there locally. But you will have an opportunity to sell alcohol longer times during the day. So think about little things like that that could impact your sales and how you do things. So it doesn't always have to be the storefront that you have an opportunity. There will be opportunities in other places for you to pull up your trailers. Could be events that you can park at, things of those sorts. So just keep an eye out for those different things. But I would highly recommend you go to the KC 2026 website and sign up for their small business interest forms.
And that KC 2026 website is kansascityfwc26.com.
Thank you for clarifying that because I had it all wrong.
Yeah, I thought it was the same thing. It's in the chat for everyone's reference.
We'll still hold for a second to allow you all to think about some other questions you might have. We'll sit here till 1:30 as planned to do so. Again, we highly encourage you all to connect in the chat, look for partnership opportunities with one another. Again, if you are already looking at a space and you're talking to a private property owner, encourage them to fill out the application so that you all can take advantage of the subsidy if selected. And that would also help us with the matchmaking because we love to see that you already have established relationships, but you got to have a good concept as well. So we highly encourage that. And again, let us know if you have any other questions, but we'll wait a moment to see if there's any other questions before we wrap up. And hopefully, please let us know if this information was useful. Was it clear to you all? So not just questions. Please help us understand if this was good for you all to understand the applications, the program overall. We are also planning to do another webinar on November 13th. We'll definitely get the information out and the Eventbrite so you can sign up for that. We'll probably have some more resources. So I highly encourage you to jump on that call as well, just in case we have more updates and resources for you at that time. So again, that date will be November 13th, and we'll send out information after the call to everyone.
So someone's asking when we will be selected. I'll just share the timeline slide again.
So for retail pop-up applicants, we want to have the selection no later than January 16th, so mid-January. Again, we have a pretty high volume of applications in progress, but not submitted. So we don't know what it's going to look like once the application date closes and is submitted. Again, Regina went through a couple of tips on Beam. Again, if you have started an application and you want to make some changes to it, email us at info@kcopendoors.com, and she will tag your application as incomplete, and that will allow you to go in to make some changes. As much as possible, we'll try to review your applications and let you know if it is incomplete or if you're missing anything before the close date. But again, we have a very small capacity right now, but as much as possible, we'll try to do that and give you a heads up. So we highly recommend you go through a checklist, get that guide, make sure you're answering everything, and make sure you have all your documents uploaded because incomplete applications will not be accepted. Any other questions? And if there's something we didn't clarify and you had a question and maybe I didn't clarify it completely, feel free to drop it in the chat and I'll be more than happy to have you come off mute and make sure I answer your question. Thank you, Anna. I appreciate that. Hey, Imani, yes, we will try to let you know if your application is incomplete. As I mentioned before, we have very low capacity. When we can, we'll try to review those applications and we can send you a message through the Beam platform to let you know you might be missing something or if something is incomplete. But as much as possible, we are encouraging you to do your best to fill out a full application because we do have a lot of applications in right now that are in progress but have not been submitted yet. So just to kind of give you all a heads up, when we had the interest forms, we had over 400 interest forms submitted just to say I'm interested in the program. I don't know how many actually are going to apply for it. So such a high volume, we can't guarantee it, but we will absolutely try.
And you bring up a great point, Nia. So we may send you communication through our info@kcopendoors email, but we can also email you directly through the Beam platform. That can sometimes go to junk. So be sure to check out your junk inbox, again, from communications from Beam.
And Anna, I'm hopefully, okay. Anna, you had a question about the webinar and FAQs. So number one, if you download the guides on the website, there's actually a section of FAQs at the end. We're going to get those FAQs added to the website, and then we're going to go through this and any emails we get with frequently asked questions and make sure we get that added to the website as well. And thank you all for your kudos. It's nice to know that this is clear and straight to the point for you all. Any other questions so far? I mean, it could be any question. We do get emails about people wanting to discuss their ideas. I can't say or guarantee that we will be able to follow up with everybody on that. We will try, but I can't guarantee it. We can't sit and talk through your concepts with you. So I'm trying to give you as many tips and points through this webinar to help you think about that. And we'll hold for just a couple more minutes. Thank you all who've been able to join. And thank you all for your positive feedback on this one. But again, if there's something that's not clear that you think we can tighten up, please let us know that as well.
And Nia, do you think if people join this webinar that they should join the one on November?
Yes, I would highly recommend it because we may have more updates at that time. And maybe some new things that we can share with you all. But whatever we share in the webinar, we'll try to make sure it's either on the KC Open Doors website and or the city's webpage dedicated to open doors. There is no, so for a service industry, no, because these pop-ups are retail based. So if you got like a gym, that's a service. But if you have products like protein or gym equipment, that's retail. So this opportunity is not for service. We're looking for retail. Some people may ask why. Let me help you understand why this is good for the city. As a city, we are investing in you all for your businesses. The return on the investment for us as a city is the sales tax revenue. So when we help you sell, the more you sell, we reap the benefits on the sales tax revenue, and that's what we can use to reinvest back into our small businesses. So that's why it's heavy on retail versus service based.
And I just want to touch on this very important point. Someone is asking if the interest form is different from the application. Yes, 100% yes. The interest form is not an application. The interest form allowed us to gauge what the interest for this program was. You must submit an application through the Beam platform in order to be considered.
And I don't think the interest forms, or they should not be open, but if you are filling out an interest form, and it will say that at the top, let us know so I can make sure those are closed and it's not causing any confusion. But you can go to the KC Open Doors website, get all the info, and get the links directly to the application to get started. Also think about it like this. When we get these pop-up going, somebody's got to clean these spaces. There might be other services or things that the pop-up folks might need. So there may be opportunities again for local collaboration just in service and support for the pop-up. So don't rule yourself out just because you might have a service-based business. Your services may be needed for the participants of the pop-up. So I saw someone had a cleaning company. Somebody might need you that might get selected. So keep the hope up on that one. Will the landlords that match up with tenants be charged any rent, or is there a cap or limit to what they can charge? So we will already have pre-negotiated what the lease subsidy is going to be for that space to even know what the cost will be to whoever will be in the space. We as a city EDC will pay for the lease subsidy. We will cover up to 80%, not to exceed a certain amount depending on the square footage of the space. Regina, if you can you pull up the lease subsidy slide? We will pay that cost directly to the property owner. Whoever's doing the pop-up in the space will be required to cover the 20% cost for whatever difference is for that lease. Again, if you are a private property owner, we are hoping that you will negotiate with us. This will allow us to stretch the money further. But trust and believe, if you come in and talk about $35, $40 a square foot, we're probably going to be like, nah, next. So help us help you and help us help our small businesses be in position for the space for a World Cup. But this is the breakdown of what that looks like. And all that aligns with how we're going to try to match people up with the different spaces. Let me know if that answered your question. Okay. Thanks, Cheryl. Any other questions? Got a couple more minutes left. Again, please continue to collaborate, share, talk about your business in the chat. And we hope that you all come in and apply. Oh, an artist with less than 1,000 square feet, grants and cost scenario. So for an artist, this is your first storefront. You got a concept that you're doing. We'll put you in 1,000 square foot space. You can do the math on whatever that square footage of the space and the price per square footage of the space would be. Then you would divide that out of 12 months and then only look at 6 to 3 months for that. And it will cover 80% of that cost and you will be responsible for the 20%. Hopefully that makes sense. I don't know if we can do the math. If I need to do the math, I can try my best. So let's say we got 1,000 square foot space. And let's say the average cost is $22 a square foot. We're just speaking hypothetically. So times $22. That's $22,000 a year. So we divide that over 12. That's $1,833 a month. So let's times that. Let's say you do the full 6 months. Let's times that by 6. That's $10,000. Let's round it up to $11,000. And then we would cover 80% of that cost, and you will be responsible for the 20%. Hopefully that was helpful in helping you do the math on this. And if I had a calculator, I would love to have something like that up there for you all to kind of figure that out. Aside from applications being accepted or denied, would there be a possibility that a property owner or judges panel would want the small business to pitch the pop-up plans or have a meeting to talk through logistics and details in more depth prior to making a final decision? Because of the short timeline, we probably won't have an opportunity for that. So that's why I'm encouraging you to be as clear in your pitch. And then there will be opportunities for you to upload other supporting documents to help the selection committee get a better look at what your concept is. If we had more time, it would have been great to allow an opportunity for people to pitch, but we got holidays and things that we're going to be coming up against. We probably won't have time for people to be able to pitch their concepts. But after the selection, we are thinking about, as a part of the technical assistance, allowing you time to pitch to a panel of other folks that can give you feedback on your concept to ensure you're going about it the right way, and then making sure we're matching up the right technical assistance with what you need.
Yes, you can upload supporting documents into the application Beam portal. There is a section within the application. We will ask you what documents that we require, and you will have the space to upload those documents. Generally, PDF documents work best. Definitely no like HEIC files, which are like the iPhone photos. So make sure everything is uploaded in PDF. And that's the major thing. If you are missing any documentations, we will be marking your application as incomplete. All required documents are required.
And Cheryl, I see your question about brokers' commissions now. That's the reason why we took this approach of doing an application pre-selecting, because we don't have enough funds to do all of that, and we believe that might have slowed the process for us getting properties selected and people matched up in time. All right, we still got a couple more minutes left. What other questions does anyone have? And again, if it's too much for you to type up, feel free to raise your hand. Hi, Ann, I see you come on to your camera. You have a question you want to ask?
Hello. Thank you both for hosting this. This has been so incredibly informational, and it's just made this process like so many questions were answered before I even had the chance to ask them. So thank you so much.
I'm glad we're recording this so that everybody can hear that. Yes.
Yes. And there was a lot of great questions in the chat too. So I'm glad I may not have that question yet, but I can come back to it knowing how all the resources will be provided. So just one quick question that I had, and maybe I missed it. I had some connectivity issues. But was there a percentage of KC-based businesses that would be chosen? And then is there a percentage allocated for businesses that are not in KC?
No, we're going on best concept, but
Okay.
priority will be given to those in Kansas City, in the Kansas City metropolitan area, as much as we can. Because again, you might have this great, but you might not have the financial stability to actually stand it up. So we're going to be looking at all those different factors. So best pitch wins.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And then my
No
last
problem.
question was for the thousands and thousands of applications that are going to be submitted on the Beam portal, like, is there a team of people that are going to go through and create shortlists based on these several different categories? Like, or is it just you two that's because that's a lot for a huge undertaking.
We got a little bit of a team, so it's not 1,000. We only had a couple of hundred that sought interest in the program. Again, I don't know how many we have right now, but we do have quite a few applications in progress. It is not to say that all of those are going to be submitted in time. So we hope that that kind of comes down just a little bit to make it more manageable for us. But again, that's why we just had these timelines of where we would like to have things done by, but we're going to work as much as we can. Again, there'll be a selection committee. We'll have support from city departments to kind of help go through these applications and do different type of reviews. But, you know, once you submit your application, that gives us an opportunity to go in, look at it and start reviewing it early. And then we can give you a heads up if it's incomplete, if we're able to look at those in time. Or we can say, okay, this one's ready to go, and let's start reviewing that one, putting it to the side as well. So we're figuring out our systems on the back end.
But he remembered me? He never
But as,
met
like
me,
I
did
said,
he?
this
I
is the
don't
first
think
time
he
for
had.
us.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions before we wrap up for today? Again, we'll send out information for the November 1 webinar. We'll take everything that we've learned today and some of the questions that you are asking. Make sure we get those things updated to you, and maybe we get that added to the PowerPoint in our presentation to ensure that we're addressing some commonly asked questions. But if there's no other questions, we thank you all for joining us today and your interest in the program and your feedback to us. We really, really appreciate it. Again, bear with us. We're doing the best we can with what we got to make some opportunities for you all, but we're so excited that you all are excited about this opportunity. So it lets us know we're on the right track. So again, thank you everyone for your time, and hopefully we'll see you soon.